all might be wondering where my background is. Well, my boyfriend is currently trying to figure out a new way to make it more stable. He had to temporarily take it down so we could build something new for it. So that's why my background's gone. But today I decided to do sort of a golden terracotta eye look using the Colourpop She's Got Solstice palette. I am really feeling the look, like I'm feeling this. If you're interested in recreating this look, just keep watching. Today for primer, since I will be outside, I am going to go into my Cotz Face Prime and Protect with SPF 40. One thing you want to make sure not to do is use too much of this because otherwise it gets kind of weird. But if you use just the right amount, it works really well. I also mixed in my Biossance Squalane Oil into my moisturizer today, just to add a little bit extra hydration because of how sensitive and dry my skin's been lately. So we'll have to see how this primer that I love lays on top of that. As always, I'm going to be using my Revlon Candid Concealer as a foundation. Because of how my face is kind of hurting today, I'm going to try to not do as much and see how it does. See if I can spread it out more because I feel like I usually make it pretty thick. I personally don't like full coverage matte foundations or concealers, but I haven't been able to find one that's light or medium coverage that's also fungal acne safe. So far this does seem to be actually working pretty well and blending out, even though I'm not using as much as I normally do. It is still full coverage, but it does seem like it's blending out nicely. This part of my face is looking way more red on camera than it actually is. So I'm going to try to cover up a tiny bit more, but if not, I'm just going to wait till concealer and see how it goes. Because my brows are full, because I haven't done them in a while, I'm going to just brush them and then with my 24-hour brow setter from Benefit, because I feel like I don't actually need to fill anything in. I also am having quite a few fungal acne breakouts right now in my eyebrows, so kind of want to avoid putting too much product there. Now to set my brows, I'm going to go in with my Benefit 24-hour brow setter. With this, I'm just going to comb up, which helps with the feathery look because I do like the feathery look. But then if I leave it like this, it's a little too crazy. So after, I just reshape the brow. Yeah, you can definitely tell I haven't done my brows in a while because of that tail there. It's misbehaving, but it's okay. My tails always misbehave, even when they're not super full. I find that this feathers it out so it makes it look fuller, but then also I can reshape them so they're still defined in a way. For eyeshadow primer today, I'm going to be using my Revolution Pro Eye Elements in the color Core. Even though this is a darker color than what I normally like, I do find that it's a pretty good eye primer. I hope they come out with a white one at some point. And remember, I really like to bring this all the way up, right to our brows, so the transition between where my brow starts and like where my eyeshadow will stop can blend out better. Or if you like to do a brow bone highlight, which I usually don't, it'll help prep for that as well. I'm going to use my Moda BMX-466 shader brush. I'm just going to go in with a nude shadow and set my brow bone up here. And I do bring this out pretty far because I do like to wing out my eyeshadow. Today for my eye look, I'll be using my Colourpop She's Got Solstice palette. And I'm going to be dipping into Nova. And with this, I'm going to kind of dust this over the crease and kind of wing out where I want my eyeshadow to be. I find that especially with a fluffy brush, this is the perfect crease color because it is a brown, then it does have a tiny bit of pink in it. Now with a slightly denser brush, I'm going to dip into Kesar. I'm going to define my outer crease. I really like this shade too because it's a nice terracotta. I'm also slightly winging this out, but I'm doing it a little bit more precise than the Nova shade we just used, and closer to my lash line. Now I'm going back into Nova and just blending those two colors together and redefining that inner crease. Now I'm going to go into Super Stardust, which is a nice like coppery gold color, with my finger. I believe this is a Super Shock shadow of some sort because of how like creamy and metallic it is. Those tend to be the Super Shock shadow formulas. And one thing I recommend here is to definitely use your finger, not a brush, because it will not pick it up. Similar to glitter, with Super Shock shadows, you kind of just want to like press them on. You don't really want to swipe, otherwise it'll pick up the shadow that you put on underneath and move it around or like mix in with it so it's not as bright and shiny. I'm also just putting this in the inner half of the eye. I'm going a little bit over the half line so that when I go back in to reblend it out, it has something to blend into. See how much that like livened up the look? Like I love the look the way it was, but like that's cute. Now I'm just going back into Kesar and blending where the shiny shade is. Also going back into Nova and redefining the crease there. Today I'm going to be going in with my Boing Cakeless Concealer in the shade 1. The shade usually tends to be a little too light for me and a little too matte, but because I tried to use less of my foundation, I do want to try to see if it's less crusty. Like, don't get me wrong, it doesn't get cakey, like that's why it's called the Cakeless Concealer, but just for how dry my skin is, I don't think it gives me enough hydration usually. I also went ahead and decreased the brightness on my ring light here because it was definitely washing me out. Even still, it kind of is, but that's okay. I'm going to put a tiny bit up here because I have some redness where I had a fungal acne breakout. And with whatever's left on the sponge, which isn't a lot, I'm just going to put a tiny bit here on my chin, a tiny bit here in the middle of the forehead, just to brighten that up. I don't usually like to put concealer in those places, but if I have a little bit left on my sponge, I will. Now I'm going to go in to Kesar with a pencil brush and go underneath my lash line about halfway through. And then on the other half, I'm going to go into Nova. I'm going to go a little bit out of order because I am still testing out some stuff for a different video. So I'm going to skip ahead to my NYX On the Rise mascara. The reason I like this mascara so much is because I have super long and full eyelashes anyway. And if I use almost any other mascara, it clumps them up or makes them look too long and spidery, which I really don't like. But this, I'm able to get that extra volume and color to my eyelashes without making it look funny. But I also know that people who do have the shorter eyelashes or not as full eyelashes, this works really well for them as well. And that's why it's my favorite. So off camera, I'm going to go ahead and do my blush, and then I'll come back and do my highlighter and finish off the look. Now that I applied my blush off camera, I'm going to go into the CoverFx Loose Highlighter. This is a trio that has a silvery color, a gold color, and then a rose gold color. I think today I'm going to go into the gold shade, which is called Moonlight, which is very fitting considering this is the Celestial palette. And I've never used these before, but I do like how each color has its own little stopper thingy so that the colors won't get mixed together. The only thing is I'm not exactly sure how I'm gonna get this out. Maybe I'll try pouring a little bit in the cap. I'm just gonna go in with my e.l.f. brush like usual and just dust this on the cheeks. Ooh, I really like this. Even though it's a similar consistency to the NYX one, I find that it seems a little bit more natural, even though it is still blinding. I also like that it doesn't look like a stripe on my face like the NYX one tends to do sometimes. Like, it looks super blinding. It looks super blinding and super natural at the same time. I'm definitely gonna say that I like that highlight. And I got this on sale. I'll definitely have to try out the other two shades in future videos, but as of right now, I like this Moonlight shade. Now for my lips, I'm going to go into my Rimmel London Stay Matte Liquid Lip Color in the shade Pink Bliss. I really like this because it's basically my lip color. And even though this is a matte liquid lipstick, it's very comfortable and I don't find it drying at all. Because my mouth isn't round, like my lips shape isn't really round, but when I put on lip color, they look round. Like, I actually have a decent Cupid's bow. I know I've done looks with this palette before, but I definitely would buy this one. If you were looking into it, I would definitely buy it, because if it's for one color only, like, this shade is absolutely gorgeous. 10 out of 10.